find is the primary learning, the primary education, where one does their primary, they go to secondary school, they go to varsity, and that is leading into throughput as an ICAS. So without that side of education, it becomes difficult to have people that come into the qualification. So you need that in Zimbabwe. So imagine if all the secondary schools and universities and so forth were outside of Zimbabwe. It would have been very difficult to have an institute and a qualification. So with that, we then have people come through. We have got Zimbabwean firms, training offices, which is also here in Zimbabwe and are run by Zimbabweans. Then we also have the education side, CTA and so forth, where we managed to build the capacity that supports the ICAS qualification. And in our view, then what was missing as far as EDGE is concerned is to create a local capacity that supports the practical training into the ICAS qualification. So we're talking about self-sufficiency here. And I would go in and say, the need to create a Zimbabwean solution by Zimbabweans, which is benchmarked to global standards. So when you look at the EDGE, we have invested a lot in making sure that it benchmarks. It starts probably when you look at LTS and even get a little bit more functions which are relevant to what we believe is very important to the Zimbabwean context. So it's a Zimbabwean solution that creates capacity to support the ICAS qualification. Think of the easy in the pressure for foreign payments on training offices and all those that are involved. So we thought it's very important that we create something that's local. Well, it doesn't matter what it is, even if you are paying Zim dollars or Nostro, but you don't have the struggles of a TT, which you have to go justify why and all that. And then we saw that we could actually help with regards to that. We also thought of bringing affordability. The moment you add on a TT and bank charges and a lot of other things, we believe that we could actually, with the critical mass, achieve affordability locally with the EDGE system. The ability to customize as is relevant to the Zimbabwean context was also inspiration for us. There are certain things that the way we are set as a profession in Zimbabwe, as training offices, may not be the same as South Africa or elsewhere. And we needed to make sure that we have a system, we have what control, which we can customize and adjust as is possible. The flexibility and ready access to support. So I'll give you an example. Right now, if you're supported on a foreign system, you're gonna have to make a call, and that call is a foreign call. It attracts a certain cost to it. It is also the ability to be able to get the ready support, to understand the context, to be able to connect and have rapport with those supporting, which we thought was very important as far as EDGE is concerned. So from the conceptualization, ideation on EDGE, these were very critical and still remains critical even today, right? So EDGE came out 2017, launched as an alternative to the LTS then, and was eventually accredited, as Ropai has pointed out, by the ICAS EDGECO in 2020, as an ICAS became a partner on the EDGE system. We've got now more than 10 training offices that have signed up, with more than 150 trainees that are already there and signed on, and are there for more than a year, or I think the least one is about five months now. The EDGE allows for seamless transfer of moving your training records from the manual side to the, and from also another system. We've built capacity both from dedicated to technical. When we talk about technical, when you look at the EDGE system, there are a number of facets to it. There are people that understand the competence framework. So people that understand how a CA is trained. I'm sure you can say, but why would CA start this? Because we took time to study and understand the competences that a CA requires as they exit. And from that, you need a technical team to do that. And there's a technical team, as far as that is concerned. There's a technical team from an IT point of view in terms of how Edge works. There's marketing and admin team. And the purpose being to be able to support the use of Edge. So under Edge, you can document your technical skills reviews. You can, trainees will be able to do professional skills reviews and assessment needs analysis, which summarizes all the PSRs and TSRs over a 6 months period. What is quite exciting for us is the ability for Edge to be able to show or have access by HR, which is I'll call it the training office of the HR of the training office. Let's talk about ICAS itself, which is one of the most special functionalities we built in for ICAS to be able to get in to see the activities of a dashboard where they can see the activity that's happening across by trainees per training office and look at the performance of the trainees and how their progress, as it were. So, and the ability of assessors and evaluators to interact more on the ANA process and also providing highly secure information storage. So it's quite exciting for us with this. And we started with Edge version 1, and today we're talking about Edge 2.0, which is an enhanced version and which the team is going to be talking about. At the heart of Edge, when you look at what's happening, we already looking and working on what we'll call 3.0, which we'll be looking at the SAE 2025. And I think Innocent will give us a highlight of the SAE 2025. The SAE 2025 being the new competence framework, which we have started seeing, and it's coming through in so various, talking about digital edge and other things. We have already embarked on adapting the EdgeOnline for that. It's not yet available, but we already have, because the profession is talking about its future, and we need the future trainees to be able to be adaptive and to be ready to face the new world. And we're committed as Zimbabweans to a solution for Zimbabwe, for our profession, by us, and that's what makes us not sleep, and that's what inspires us on Edge. I hope you will be inspired by the Edge story. I hope you will enjoy using Edge and fully knowing that it's yours, it's Zimbabwean, and it is meant to deliver and support the process of delivering a professional chartered accountant for ICAS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anesu. A very insightful speech there. Amazing story indeed. A local solution from a local service provider. Thank you very much, Anesu, for that. We move on with this program, and I'll leave this time to Innocent Tole, who is going to highlight on the impact of Innocent.
Right. Thank you so much, Roba. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for this particular presentation on EdgeOnline, just trying to highlight the new changes that we have done to the system, but also what is currently existent on the system. So thank you so much. We appreciate having you here. All right, so like Roba has said, and Anesu had alluded to this as well, I'll just give a highlight on the CA 2025 project and what that's all about, and how Edge is also then being altered for that particular purpose. So EdgeOnline, or at least in terms of the CA 2025 project, a chartered accountant is a responsible leader who behaves ethically in an organization's value creation process. Now, this person has a primary role to prepare meaningful information to stakeholders and to interpret, analyze, and evaluate such information for impactful decision making. So this is quite critical on where we're going as chartered accountants, or at least as chartered accountants in training. And then also a CA uses integrated thinking to interpret, analyze, evaluate financial and non-financial information. I'm pretty sure we know that nowadays non-financial information also carries quite a bit of weight with regards to decision making, and it enables them to influence others and support impactful decision making, thereby contributing meaningfully to society. So where the world is now going with the CA profession, the CA 2025 project, we're now changing from the current competency framework, and then there are these three now legs that are coming through. One is on professional ethics. So I'll just show you this particular diagram, which shows the different components. So you've got professional values and attitudes, technical competences, and what we call enabling competences. And all of these are ingrained in critical thinking or integrated thinking, which is required now for us to be able to provide value to organizations that engage our services. Now, I'll come back to this particular slide and talk more about the professional values and so forth, which is aspects such as ethics. So personal ethics, what value system do you subscribe to as an individual? Business ethics, what does your company subscribe to as well? And then professional ethics. And then from there, we move on to lifelong learning. And lifelong learning is simply saying someone has the eagerness to learn. And I think from the current IFAC definition, it says an accountant is supposed to be someone who has a willingness to learn or is a lifelong learner. So effectively, we are saying you need to always constantly develop yourself and learn, relearn, and learn more things as you go on. And you must have an adaptive mindset where you're able to change when things change. And the world is fast changing. We didn't know that we'd have coronavirus and we'd have such a long lockdown, or that the world would be shut down as we know it, but that has happened, and you need someone who's then adaptive to that particular environment. And then we also have citizenship, where we talk about personal citizenship. So appreciating that you are not an island, you live within a community, and how do we give back to the community in a meaningful way? So you find that there is also then a link with these new aspects to the SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals by the UN, where it's also then trying to see how can CAs or how can accountants contribute to ensuring that the world goes for a sustainable point of view, or for a sustainable aspect in terms of the business. And then enabling and future competencies. These are now, you've got your business acumen. So business acumen is just saying you're able to make decisions clearly in the business by synthesizing the data that you'd have been supplied with. And then you've got digital acumen. So appreciating that we've now got AI, we've got big data happening, and so many things are happening with regards to data. So we need to also be clear on that. And then you have decision-making acumen and relational acumen. So being able to manage yourself, but also being able to manage relationships with other people, because we now work with people. And then you still have the technical competencies, but it's slightly different now from the technical competencies that we're typically used to. So, okay, fine, I spoke about this already. And then the components of the new framework that will be coming into effect. And then we've also got now under professional values and ethics, so just lifelong learning values there, citizenship values and attitudes, ethical values and attitudes, all of these are coming through to make sure that we create a holistic CA. And then, all right, so we already spoke about these. Now, under the technical competencies, we're speaking about inputs. So we've got inputs. This speaks about the 8 capitals rather that we deal with. So you've got 8 capitals that are being inputted into the business development process. Then from there, we've also got strategy and governance. So it's still quite important that companies have a strategy, where are you going, but also that they're governed well with regards to the business. And then we talk about the business activities, where we're protecting capitals and also converting them. And then the outputs there, you've got either increased, decreased, or transformed capitals that would then be coming through from that particular process. So this is effectively the integrated reporting cycle. If you then have a look at integrated thinking or integrated reporting, this is where it's coming in. And it's what CA 2025 is going for. And when we speak now of some of the key changes that are actually happening with CA 2025, we are saying there is increased emphasis on digital competencies, so the digital acumen, whereas on the current framework, there's a limited coverage on digital competencies and no reference whatsoever to emerging technologies. Then we've also got value creation in the business context, where currently now on this new framework that we're talking about, they'll use value creation in business to frame technical competencies, thus breaking down the traditional disciplines or the silo approach, Whereas on the current one, we just said the traditional presentation of knowledge areas, and they were in silos. So you had accounting and external reporting, management decision-making, taxation, audit, and so forth. Whereas on CA 2025, we need to have the appreciation of how all of these are intertwined in how we work. Then on ethics and citizenship, we're now including all those spheres of ethics. So ensuring that someone who's training to become a CA is aware that they need to be ethical, but also they need to consider the environment in which we operate. But currently it's only covered for professional ethics. So we do have a section on professional ethics that speaks about being honest and so forth and carrying out work with due care, but there is no reference to citizenship. So these are just some of the changes that are there. I won't go into detail on every one of them, but it's just now focusing more on how do we make a holistic CA who is future fit, given that the world we live in is actually changing and things are improving. So I think what we're now doing now for EdgeOnline is that we've already started with the technical team that Anis was talking about and the IT team, but also the admin team. We are going through this particular process of looking at these and already adapting Edge so that Edge version 3.0 will already have these competencies in place. So to talk about the enabling competencies, the professional values, and even citizenship and so forth, all of these will now be captured into EdgeOnline, and we'll be working closely with ICAS to ensure that when the CA 2025 project actually then is rolled out in Zimbabwe, everyone is ready to ensure that they apply this effectively in their particular institutions. So I think this is just a basic on what CA 2025 is all about and how Edge will then be altered for this particular purpose. Thank you so much, Ropa. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Innocent, for those highlights on the upcoming CA 2025. Quite exciting times are coming through. Thank you very much for that. So we are going to have a few words from one of the ICAS representatives. We have Paida Moyodziwa, who is the Assistant Technical Manager for ICAS. So he's just going to have a few words to say to us.
Thank you, Ropa. Good morning, everyone. So from an ICAS perspective, maybe I should start by highlighting that in terms of the training of trainees, generally ICAS is responsible for accreditation, general admin and monitoring, training record sign-off and reviews of trainees and also the firms. So where Edge now comes in is that it will help ICAS in terms of the accreditation visits. They can now be done online. It will also help us mainly the reviews for that they will be done online and also even the monitoring itself. So what we did as ICAS is we did an extensive user testing procedures for EdgeOnline so that we could ensure that it meets the standards which are required by ICAS. So after that testing, extensive user testing, and also from the side of TAS, an IT audit was also done. So as ICAS, we are satisfied that the system is secure and also that it meets the requirements, even in terms of the competence framework as has been explained. So after these processes, ICAS then accredited and partners with TAS for EdgeOnline. So what ICAS would like to just say is that we noticed that there are some benefits from having EdgeOnline, given that there were challenges that training offices were facing using the current options are available, which are the manual system where trainees will be writing manual training records and also the foreign options. So there are a number of benefits, as has been highlighted before by Anesu, which is the payment of fees. In that, since this is a local solution, if there are trainees or the training offices, they've got maybe additional features that they would like so that it's more user friendly. Since TAS is local, they can actually approach TAS and then they can have those additional features assessed to see whether they would add value. And from an institute point of view, for those firms who have already been had their reaccreditation visits up to during this lockdown period, you realize that we were doing these visits online. So the advantage now of this EdgeOnline system is that it allows ICAS to do those reviews online. Since ICAS we already have the administrative profile, which will allow us to log onto the system, so we can actually review the training records from our offices, and this will allow minimal disruptions to ATO operations, since they will be able to, they will be needed minimal staff to attend to ICAS rather than when the whole ICAS reaccrediting team visits the offices. And also another thing maybe that I would like to mention is that we are also trying to work with TAS so that we can allow signing off of training records within the system. As you may be aware, training records are supposed to first be sent to ICAS physically, whereby ICAS then looks at those training records physically before then signing off, and the letter is then sent back to the training office saying these records have been signed off. So the other thing we're trying to do is to have those sign-offs being done within the system, so that they will reduce also that paperwork, given the technological world that has been, technological developments that have been mentioned. So I think maybe that's what I would like to say from an ICAS view with regards to EdgeOnline. And then also maybe what I can also just add to training offices with regards to the reviews that ICAS is doing. We just wanted to maybe highlight to him that we are not doing these virtually. So training offices will be contacting training offices, telling them that we are reviewing them, and then we'll just be asking you mainly, like if you are on Edge already, we'll just be asking for your credentials. We log in and then we review. And after that review, if there are any further questions, we then contact you. But from the reviews that we've had so far, we haven't had any challenges. So we also just like to urge firms that may you ensure that your training records, they are captured on time. They are also reviewed on time. That's the major challenge that we are facing with firms, that when training records are captured, maybe they are not reviewed on time, they are not signed off. So we'd also just like to urge firms on that. I think, thank you, Roba, for the time. That's what I have for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Paida. Quite interesting innovation coming through. Maybe there won't be any need to be printing out the last ANA with a lot of papers there, since they will be accessing it online. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence as an ICAS representative. Thank you, Paida. So we are going now to get into the actual demonstration of the Edge 2.0 version. And Innocent Stole is going to start with the TSR and PSR review the trainee profile, and then is going to move on to the reviewer profile for both the TSR and PSR, and then you also move on to the ANA demonstration. Over to you, Innocent.
All right, thank you so much, Roba. And thank you, Paida, for being with us here. Right, so now we get into the crux of why we're here. So EdgeOnline, the system to access it, once you sign up onto Edge, you receive an email that actually has a link that tells you that this is where you access the system. But if you don't have the link, or if you've forgotten about how the link works, you can just go and type in your browser. You can go and type there edgeonline.co.za, and then this is the landing page for EdgeOnline that you see there. So on this particular page, you see the features, our partners, the pricing, about Edge, and the login and so forth. And we also have what we call a knowledge base. So I'll start off with the login, and then we can highlight more about what that knowledge base is all about. So this is just the login page for Edge. If you've forgotten your password, there is this forgot password option here where you can actually just click here, and then it will show you, it will reset your password, and then you can start accessing from there. Then we also have this section that says version 2.0. If you click on that, it will show you the change log, which is just a detail of what has changed from 1.0 to 2.0. And because we've got a commitment to make sure that we are continually improving Edge for your use, we will be changing it regularly. So ensure that you keep coming to the section, you may find that it's now on version 2.5 by the time we come back. So you need to just be accessing to see what changes we've made to the system. But currently we've got improved ANA evidence display. I'll show you what we mean by this when I do evaluator profile. We've got intelligent system recommendations where the system can actually highlight that for this particular trainee, they're operating below the expected level for a training office. So perhaps you need to have a development plan. Then we have the back to trainee or evaluator function. I'll also show you the button, but effectively it's saying for a skills review, so a PSR or TSR. Back to trainee says, there are certain fundamental issues that I'm seeing in your SR and I'd like for you to correct those. So evaluator can send it back to, or reviewer can send back to trainee. Then with the back to evaluator function, it's on the assessor profile where they may have certain issues with the ANA and they can also send it back to evaluator so that it gets corrected. Then improved reporting structure. We've got a number of reports now that are in the system that go from ranging from reports that can show you what your current ratings are and where you can actually go with regards to your rating. So we've got all of those reports to show you what's the expected for the entity, how are you operating based on the expected, should you improve, what can you do, and so forth. Then we also have the knowledge base, which I was talking about. I'll show you that just now. Then we have SRs listed that we've uploaded onto our Facebook, as well as the knowledge base. That just gives you a detail in more detail what I'm talking about. So if you click there, the knowledge base, or you go back to the cover page and access the knowledge base, there you see there we've got articles on signing in, migration, ANA, user roles, the new features and so forth. So you've got all those videos that are actually here. And then you've got creating new reviews, for instance. If you access that, you've actually got, so is your query about creating a PSR or a TSR. So this knowledge base also captures the frequently asked questions to try and help you to understand how to do that. So if it's, let's say, creating a new PSR there, you'll actually find, if you come to this particular section, there is a video that's there. So you can access this video and re-listen in case you need help. And then please let us know whether the article was helpful or not. So you finish listening or hearing whatever we've spoken about, you can let us know what you think so that we can also improve. Then we've also got a messages option here. So there is this chat function. We have installed what we call talk to on our system. So with talk to, you can actually go and either click right on this bottom corner here, and then you just tell us your name, your email address, and then your message as well, so that we also then get back to you. So we'll get back to you as soon as we can. All right, so that's that about the knowledge base. And I think I will be taking on questions even specifically for the session. You can actually ask then, but also give you our contact details in case you have questions after this particular session, since we're also being cognizant of time. All right, so I'll go back now to the login section so that I can show you how the system actually works. So I'll firstly start with the trainee side, right? When you sign up onto the system, we'll send the system automatically send you login details to inform that you have been signed up onto EdgeOnline. These are your login details and so forth, and the link. So this is the dashboard for EdgeOnline. And if you have multiple profiles, I'll show you how this works when you get to evaluator, but you just switch your profile here. So we don't create 3 different accounts for you. We just create 1 account. Then we go and we add the different profiles that you have or the different roles that you play. Then we have the About Me section. These are just your details, so you can go and edit those. The reports I was talking about can be accessed here. Then we have a section that we call Open Items with Rating Difference. I'll explain that in more detail when I finish the TSR and PSR, and I'll show you how we come up with the rating difference. And then you've got Open Items. These would be TSRs or PSRs, which the trainee has raised, but is yet to sign off to evaluator. So they're still sitting with the trainee. And you can see there's an option to sign it off or delete it in case you no longer want that SR or you want to amend a lot more things. So you can delete it and restart, or you can sign it off to reviewer. Right. So to create a TSR, you go and hover on Technical Skills Review there, and then you click New TSR. And on this particular section now, depending on the number of reviewers in your entity, we will have the drop-down menu here that just shows all the reviewers who are in the system. So you pick the reviewer who's relevant for the task that you've actually done. You pick the review period. So when was the work done? You pick the month in which the work was done, right? And then the client or assignment description. So what is the work that you did? So, well, let's say for instance, it was a bank reconciliation. I'm just using a typical example. And then you pick your job start date. So I can manually put a date there. Or I can actually go and click on the calendar icon, and then I pick my date from this particular calendar. Right? Then I can pick my end date. Just take note that if you said you did the work in August or September, if you pick dates here that are not within that particular age range, the system will actually inform you that that is incorrect. Then on days worked, it tells you 37 calculated days, but you then make the choice. The reason why we haven't inputted here is to say, sometimes you can start an assignment in August and finish in September, but the effective number of days is actually not 37 because we've got multiple tasks that you'll be doing. So the effective number of days could actually just be 18 days. So you put that there. And then additional notes is if there's any more information that you'd like your reviewer to know as they review, you can then add that there, but it's not mandatory. All the other fields are mandatory. Then we create the new review. Right, then it tells you there what the TSR number is. So this is also important in case 037 is the one that is issued, and then we can easily access it from there. And then you have all the current technical competencies will then be listed here. And then your elective as a training officer will also be specified there. So I'll just use just one area to highlight how this is done. So you click on the particular section, then you click right on the sentence. That's where the link is. All right, then it tells you the first competency based on the entity's financial reporting needs and the stakeholders identified, evaluates the appropriateness of the accounting framework. So if you did this work, let's say you evaluated whether IPSAS is applicable for your particular organization or not, you then come and you capture rating here. So the decision tree then pops up and then you start answering the question. So you need to click right on the circle, start. Do the trainees receive direction as to what to do or how to do the task? You then answer, is it a yes or a no? Let's say it was a no. Can they satisfactorily complete the task assigned to them, giving the decision tree to center your decision? And then if this is your chosen path, you then just click on that path. Take note that you will not be able to manually come and enter it. So you cannot come and say 4A here. You actually have to go through the decision tree, because for as long as we're talking about TSR and PSR, the use of the decision tree is mandatory. All right. Then from there, trainees reflection on professor box, where you need to just highlight what professional skills did you demonstrate in doing this work. So this is just to help you when you then get to raise in your PSR, to say you already have an idea of what PSRs you need or you demonstrate in doing this work. So it will help you to know what the PSRs are. But I think on version 2.5 or 2.3 and so forth, we'll be able to have a drop down here where you can pick from the professional skills that are there on which one is relevant, so that we already initiate a PSR for you and then to make your life easier. But in this case, you can say I carried out work with due care. Okay. Then from the overall comments on task now is what work did you actually do to prove that you actually evaluated the entity's reporting framework. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll just put gibberish there. And then you scroll if you are now done with the section. So take note, I remember there's a question that had been put in the chat function. Why do I need to capture, I think it was Pei, she said, why would she need to rate herself on every skill or competency that she would not have demonstrated during an assignment? So in this case, you only capture what is relevant to the work that you have done. So if all I did was evaluate and I scroll right to the bottom and then I click on submit. So I don't need to enter any other records if they are not applicable. And then the system, you see there's T and R there, T for trainee, R for reviewer. So it automatically ticks where you've demonstrated something. So there's a tick there to make the reviewer's life easier. And then if you are now done with this particular competence, you go and you click on document complete. And that's that's already how you then do that, and the PSR is done or the TSR is done. However, if you go back to the dashboard now, you will find that it's only been saved. It hasn't been signed off. So if you check, there is this TSR bank reconciliation. So it has not been signed off the reviewer. I can now come and click on sign off here to show that I now want this to be sent to the reviewer. So document complete, sign off successful. And at this point, the system will then send an email to the reviewer to inform them that there's been a review. Right. Then for a PSR, it's just clicking on new PSR. It's a process quite similar to what we're doing at a TSR. So all the details there, you're still going to complete who's the reviewer, what's the review period, and so forth. So I won't really go into PSR for this section. I think Rupa will confirm that we're also going to set up separate dates for trainees, specifically for reviewers, for evaluators, for administrators. So we'll set a separate session where we can then go into more detail on how to actually do a particular one. But also, if you'd like for your particular training office to have a presentation done for you or a demonstration in case you have new trainees or your trainees have forgotten how to do this, you can actually call us and then we'll come through. We don't charge for those particular training sessions. So we'll be able to come and show you that as well. Then remember that to capture a rating, it's mandatory for trainee to capture a rating or reviewer as well to use the decision tree on capturing ratings. Now, in going through those particular parts, which I'll show you on reviewers end, there may be a case where reviewer does not agree with your position as trainee, which means now if reviewer does not agree, that's when then you have these rating differences. For instance, this one, reviewer had a part 3, so you just click on resolve rating difference here. So how the system does it is, if there's been a rating difference, it brings back the TSR or that particular task back to the trainee, and then trainee chooses whether they agree or disagree with the change that reviewer has proposed. So your rating was 4A and these were your comments. Reviewer's rating was 3F and this was their comment. So based on this now, trainee chooses whether they accept the changes or they don't accept the changes. If trainee says I accept the changes and then you save, the system will go and change your 4A as trainee to reviewer rating, which is 3F. But if you then go to the ratings and you say, I don't accept the changes, so you don't agree with the reviewer's point of view, you still want to stick to your position, it will tell you there you disagree with the reviewer on that particular competence. And what this then does is it logs that particular TSR or PSR with a rating difference, and it will flag it for evaluator. So on evaluating at the ANA stage, evaluator will be able to see that this particular TSR had a rating difference, and then they can be the ones to go and resolve that one and pick a final rating. All right, so this is basically how trainee does it. And whilst we're still on trainee, I'll just show you how to create an ANA for the trainee. So I'll just do creation of ANA for trainee simply for now, right? So there we go. To create an ANA again, you're always going to the left and hovering on the particular task that you want. So if I want to create an ANA, hover on ANA and click new ANA. Right, then ANA number, so which ANA are you creating? Ropo was talking about how you can actually come through and start using Edge, whether you're on manual or you're on LTS. So if you're on manual, for instance, and you don't want to reopen those particular ANAs, you can give us the manual and the final closed off ANA, and then we'll upload that. So if it was ANA 3, it means in the system you're starting on ANA 4. Or if it was ANA 4, then you're starting on ANA 5 in the system. And then same thing with if you're moving from LTS, we just need the final ANA and then we upload that onto the system. Right, then you pick who the evaluator is for the particular assignment, and then you pick who the assessor is. I'll pick the same assessor and then I'll just show you what happens there. And then the review period here, so in which year did you do the work, in which review period. So this one will populate it specifically for your training office. So if your ANA period is not January to June, it could be, for instance, with CAA, which is February to July, and then August to January. If that is the case, we'll automatically change that for you on this section. But if yours is January to June, then that's how you do it here. And then co-experience hours, how many hours of co-experience did you have? And then create new ANA. All right, then it tells you that it's been created successfully. Then as trainee, you need to highlight what are your major assignments for the next 6 months if you already know of these. So if you know of these, you can already add that these are my major assignments for the next 6 months. I'm just putting gibberish for the purpose of demo. Then academic progress. So in the last 6 months, How have you progressed academically? If there's anything, if there's nothing, you just specify not applicable. And then click on document complete. From there, we go to section, training course. So this is saying in the last 6 months, what training courses did you attend? You highlight that I attended an Excel training, for instance. You highlight there. From there, what were the training objectives? And then examples of transfers, in which area did you apply what you learned? So you put that particular detail there. Then the results, so what? Did you manage to do this better because you now knew or not? You then do that. And then if you are done, add new course. Right? So I've now added a course there. Either I can still go and add more courses here if I've got more than one training course that I attended, but if I just the one, then I complete an initialization. So at this point now, it's now done. You just click on sign off for that particular ANA, and then the ANA is signed off to evaluator. So if you actually go back to your ANA and you look on your open ANAs, you will see there ANA 5 started November 17, and it's sitting with the evaluator. So it tells you the stage of the particular ANA. So that's basically how trainee creates an ANA. Now I'll move on to demonstrate what reviewer does. So I'll use the reviewer account now for demonstration. Right, so let's use a reviewer profile. Right, so this is reviewer, and this is the dashboard for reviewer, quite similar to that of a trainee, but it then shows you who the learners are in your organization, also reports by the reviews. If you want to check the closed items, they will be there, but here we just list the new reviews that are there, which are yet to be closed off by reviewer. And then if you have multiple profiles, for instance, remember I was talking about someone can have dual profiles, so reviewer can also be evaluator in this case. So if they want to access their evaluator profile, you just click on evaluator, then switch profile there. But in this case, we're continuing with reviewer profile. Right. Then I will now demonstrate how to review a PSR. Since on trainee side, I demonstrated how to create a TSR, I'll show you how to review a PSR so that you see how both interfaces look. So the back to trainee function I was talking about is right here, that button. So you can click back to trainee and then it sends the SR back to the trainee for more editing. And then on professional, so you've got the professional skills here, professional conduct, management, leadership, and so forth and so forth. So professional conduct, I click on act ethically. So it will show you there, this is the evidence that trainee presented. It's a WhatsApp message. This was the trainee's comment. And then as evaluator, as reviewer, sorry, your comments are mandatory. So you need to comment on every single section where trainee has evidence. So if trainee has evidence on a certain area, you need to comment. In this case, if it was correct, then we leave that. But if there's another section, or if we didn't agree with this particular evidence, we could click on, I do not agree with your evidence. So that trainee is aware that that particular SR won't be accepted by reviewer. Okay, if I'm done with that, I submit. So this is, from a PSR perspective, PC is the only one that's different from the TSR side on how we do that. Hence, I had to show you that. Then we can go on to the other sections to see if there's any other section where trainee raised more evidence. In this case, there is nothing else. So if there's no tick, it means trainee didn't raise anything. But if they had, you would see there to show you trainees rating, what it is there. So you'd be given the trainees rating, the trainees evidence would be given, the trainees comments would also be given. And then as evaluator, you would have the responsibility of choosing your own rating. But if you disagree with the rating of the trainee, you could then just click on 0 there. So you just click on the drop down and then you click on 0. And 0 then is specifying that you don't agree with the task in its entirety. So basically, this is what a reviewer would do when reviewing a PSR or a TSR. It's the same process. So if they're done, document complete, reviewer does not then need to go and sign off. Once the reviewer says document complete, that particular process is done. So basically, this is how evaluator would do the things. And we've ensured that we add the back to trainee function because there are cases where we'd have people sending us queries that, oh, trainee so-and-so has made a mistake and I need them to correct something. Can you please send the TSR back to them? So now we've given you the power to send it back and then you can inform the trainee of what needs to be done. All right. Then now I'll show you the evaluator profile so that we see how evaluator does this particular process. Right, so quite similar as well. I'll use the evaluator profile, so we just switch profile to evaluator. Right, then we've got that ANA that we had raised, ANA 5, sitting right here. So we can go and start working on that particular ANA. So this is evaluator's interface, period of training contract, and so forth and so forth. And then the key is that whenever there is NE, I'll show you when we get to performance evaluations. NE is new evidence, T is trainee, E is evaluator, and A is assessor. So there are these 5 sections that evaluator must go through. And we start off with summary of performance evaluations, which is where most of the work is. So on this section, that's where we've done quite a bit to try and change the interface. So there's a view TS status function, which will show you the TS status, which are actually in this particular ANA. So it shows you there are 3 TS status that were used in here. And if you actually want to view the TS status in the entirety, you can click on view there to go and access that particular TSR. Then we also have the view PS status function. So which PS status, there were 3 PS status used for ANA 5. And just take note for trainees that if you do not have at least 3 TS status and 3 PS status, the system will not allow you to raise a TS status, which is just in line with ICA's regulations that specify that you need to have at least 1 TS status and 1 PS status every 2 months. So that's just the bare minimum there. But we are also coming up with a function where for a training office, if your particular rules say someone needs to raise a TS status once every month, then we can also add that functionality that you will only be able to raise an ANA if you have 6 TS status or 6 PS status. So that's also entity specific. Then the add TS status and add PS status functions are if there are certain TS status that were raised by the trainee for the review period January to June 2019, which were added after the trainee had initiated the ANA. So those ones would then be able to, they would appear here, and then you can just add them onto the particular system and then submit. Same thing with PSRs. All right, so the NE I was talking about is there, TEA. So it's just to help evaluator that when you're commenting, you can see what sections you've commented on and what sections are outstanding. But take note that for evaluator, it is mandatory to comment on every single section, regardless of whether the trainee has evidence or not. The reasoning being, you need to be clear, you need to show the trainee what work they actually did or what work they didn't do to get to the competence. So here, in this particular section, I clicked on a section that didn't have new evidence. So let me just go back and we can start with the one that is new evidence so that I show you how that comes out. All right. So I think I wanted a question as always. Someone was asking me why it is necessary that they comment on everything. It becomes redundant where their comments now may not be as effective as they could have been. But the reason is sometimes where there's no evidence, it could actually be evidence that if there's no evidence by trainee, then it could point to there being an issue with the training office where the trainee may not have gotten exposure. So you need to just be clear on that. All right, so in this case, if there's any evidence for trainee for being straightforward and honest, it shows here. So there's just a click, drop down here for evidence, and then it shows you that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 TSRs that were raised on this section. So you can actually go and check each and every one of them to see, so what has trainee said? This was the reviewer's comment. This was the evidence that was presented by the trainee. And then from there, evaluator picks was the principal demonstrated. So principal demonstrated is saying, are you ready? Are they ready for sign off? So if it's a no, that's the point. Usually for professional conduct, it's no up until we get to ANA 6, then we can sign someone off. Then if development is required, no. If is it marked for discussion, do you want to discuss it with the trainee? You can click yes or no. Then comments from evaluator, very mandatory there. But also then the other functionality we added is if development is required, when you click yes, automatically the system tells you the development date, so you can already pick what the development date should be for this particular assignment. And then from there, the development plan. So what should the trainee do to actually meet this particular competence? So you already have to do that there. And then the development plan section will just show what you've done. So basically that's how evidence comes out on this section. I'll show you now on the TSR side, how the evidence comes out, right? There we go. So it will show you there, because TSRs and PSRs, you can have basic and advanced, unlike PSRs where everything is advanced. So you've got rating there, it shows you that the rating achieved on previous ANA was a 0 on basic and a 3 on advanced. So you then pick, and then in the current period, there is no evidence on the section, or actually there is evidence here, this particular table, that then shows you that, okay, so there is a TSR, the TSR 3, they had nothing on basic, but they had a 4 under advanced. And this was the reviewer's comment, this was the trainee's comment, there was no rating difference. So then you as evaluator pick, opening ANA was 3, current is 4, maybe I can come and I can pick a 4, or I can pick a 3, it's all dependent on evaluator's judgment now. And then under basic, I don't need to rate anything there. And then I put my comments, and then from there, whether development is required or not, and whether I've marked that for discussion or not. And then so I go to each and every section. This one, there was a 2 under basic and the 3 under advanced for that particular task. So if there was a rating achieved on previous ANA, or there is evidence in the current month, then evaluator must put a rating. In this case, I'll carry forward the 2 because there's nothing else here. But 3, 4, maybe for this one, I still want them to be a 3, so I can put that, and then I put my comments, and then yes, no development is required, no, it's not marked for discussion. Then this one tells you that there was a rating difference, but it was accepted. So if you just want, you can go and check what the final acceptance point was, but it's just telling you that yes, there was a rating difference, but trainee accepted the reviewer's rating. Then from there, develops our accounts, evaluates accounting policies again. I need to add TSRs where there's something, and then I also add advanced where there's something there, and then my comment. So expected levels of competence here specified by the training office. This is only added when a training office has given us their generic training manual as required by ICA. So we then add that onto this particular function. And then marked for discussion, development required or not, and then we proceed. Then from there, we submit. Now, importantly, when we then click on submit, it will tell you there, this ANA rating has been captured and the dual row has been identified. So if evaluator is also assessor, they won't need to work twice. They just go into their one profile, and then once they're done as evaluator, it's already populated as assessor so that it makes their lives easier. So that's part of the functionality that has been added. So this has just been high level on what's been added onto the system currently, but I think it will be very important that you go through the knowledge base to also access what more information we've actually put onto the system to help you to be able to easily maneuver through the system. And if you have questions or if you have comments, you can actually bring them there as well. And then self-evaluation, supplementary training, development plan, training or evaluators to go and comment as well on those particular sections. I'm just now brushing through because of our time aspect, but the assignments by the trainee, they're listed there, and then evaluator comments on whether they agree with that or they want more information. Academic progress, evaluator also comments. And then if you go on to the next part, you can then just check, but until, okay, so the training courses, evaluator also comments, and then we proceed on that. And then you also submit comments. Now, you will not be able, right, so they tells you that you need to add comments until it ticks on everything for E here, for evaluator to show that you've done some work. You will not be able to sign it off. So for some out of performance evaluations, the evaluator must comment on everything for that E to be ticked, and then we can proceed from there. Then it sends it back to trainee who can then work on that. Then on assessor side, it's pretty much the same interface as evaluator. The only difference is that assessor then needs to also put a comment, but assessor is the one who selects whether a particular task is ready for sign off or not. So it's only on assessor's desk that they can sign, yes, this is ready for sign off, or no, this is not ready for sign off. But I think also there is this chat function that I spoke about in knowledge base. So if you have any queries or if you have comments that you want to add, you can just come through and add those on that particular chat bind. We'll be able to address them. Are there any questions before we then proceed, before I hand back to Ropa? Are there any questions for me on TSR, PSR, ANA, or are there specific questions on what we've done today that I can address now? And I see there is team, as I said, on the review period, the system doesn't allow us to pick months in different years. For example, my TSR will be from December 2019 to January 2020. How do I remedy that? So I think the challenge with that is if you've actually done work where if your ANA period is not December, for instance. Then we can talk about how we can amend that from a system perspective. It's just us adding a functionality for you to be able to add that. But if then your ANA period ends in December, it means you need to split your TSR into the section that you did in December, you raise for that, and then you close that off. Then you do another one for January, you raise that, and then you sign that one off. So that's how you have to do with that particular issue. And then Ropa has put our contact details there on the chat function. If you have any questions, you can actually call us on our particular platform, but she'll also put our emails there so that you can also access us there. All right, so she's putting the emails. Are there any questions for me? All right, that's fine then. Thank you so much, Ropa. Back to you.
Sorry, Innocent. Hi.
Hi.
I think I've raised my hand, but you didn't notice me.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mchingami. How can I assist?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Maybe I have just two questions.
All right.
My first question is, are the training records accessible after someone is qualified?
Yes, so the training records are accessible. We actually have a print function. I forgot to show that as well. So they can be printed, but also someone can access their account. If they're a trainee, they can access their account and go on to closed items. They can actually see all of their SRs that they, even the ANAs, they're all there. So yes, can be accessed after someone is qualified.
All right, that's fine. Maybe this one, the second question, I want to direct it to Anis. Is he still available? My question is far.
I am available.
That's fine. Thanks, Anis. As far as we are giving qualified accountants the technical competencies and the professional competencies, I feel there is still a lot to be done on the personal development side of issues. I don't know how can we maybe. I once highlighted this to ICAS when they come for their inspection at our office. I don't know how can we improve on that aspect, because you produce, yes, someone is very competent in terms of taking expert in technical issues, but when it comes to personal development, I think something which is lacking.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mchingami. It's good you're raising a very fundamental question. During a time recently, I met, I think it was Doug Mamvura, we're working on the ICAS 100-year book. And one of the key things that he said, and in uncertain terms, very clearly, is that the accountants that is met out there, the chartered accountants, have lack on the emotional intelligence, right? The human side that you're referring to. And I would like to agree on that. And it is the biggest issue which the CA 2025 tries to accommodate. One of the biggest issues which is there is all along when we say accountant, we're focused on the technical competences. And within those technical competences, they were on the forefront at the expense of leadership. So when you look at leadership and when you're leading, you rarely are now much more on the technical side. You are actually leading people, which means your emotional intelligence, your ability to connect, to inspire, and to sense and have all these other softer issues become the biggest skills you need on leadership. Now, the CA 2025, the new competence framework, so if you followed Innocent's presentation, it showed the 2013 competence framework, which was adjusted in 2019, and which is mostly where the current EdgeOnline is. And then right now, there is the finalized 2025, and a lot of those arguments, the ethics, and those softer emotional intelligence skills. So I hope that holistically that will be ingrained in our future CAs. However, the issue on the CPD side, there's a massive change as well in terms of the focus from input to output based CPD process. But I think it all looks onto the lifelong learning aspect to say, when we go and say we're doing CPD and doing lifelong learning, what are we learning about? Are we still learning technical, or we are also bringing through and having the platforms to learn the softer issues? But I would like to take away what you have said in the sense that that has been lacking. It's still lacking. We hope that the SAE 2025 would address. So please, when the engagements on SAE 2025 comes through, I would encourage you to be there. The documents are there. If you ask Innocent, he can even send you to be able to start seeing how the competence framework and that aspect is being captured. It is being seen as a deficiency. I'll quickly also highlight to you one of the key aspects that was added with regards to the competence framework, which is the social citizenship. It's only accountants who actually lack social citizenship in training. When you train a doctor is required to do what we call housemanship, which is contributing to the medical fraternity through serving. When a lawyer is trained, they do what they call pro bono, where they actually work for and provide and also serve. And for accountants, we don't have that. That in its own is also another aspect of lacking in terms of the human side of things. We qualify, we are gone, and it mostly focuses on individuals and not, but the SAE 2025 has brought through that aspect of social citizenship. So I hope there's no answer today in terms of it can be done now, but we've put up some measures to make sure that it will be sorted.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. Mchingam. I hope you are happy. I think yes, I was actually going to highlight that is even on the CPT's end, it's now becoming more competence-based, and ICAS is putting through what they call the CA Leadership Masterclass, which is also going to be trying to address some of these, the softer side of skills. So we'll be seeing how these attributes will be coming through. Then I see, well, Mas, you have your hand up. You can go ahead and ask, or please bring in your comments.
Thanks, Innocent. No, I'm just following up on that question that has been raised by Clemens there. I think it's a good question, and I think that I can manage to articulate that very well. So for those who don't know me, my name is Welcome. So I'm based here in the UK, Scotland. I work for one of the big 4 firms here. And to be honest, that is one of the biggest challenge that people who are coming from Zimbabwe, coming here to the UK or America, they're struggling with that element. And here for you to be promoted, you should have those soft skills. The technical element, really, that's what gets you to the door, but what makes you excel within the firm or any organization in the UK is those soft skills, and they are very, very critical. I think at CAA, this Toastmasters element, that really helps as well to shape the CA students. I would recommend people to join that and to do that, because that is very, very important. I think one thing that I would say from my experience, I remember I've done interviews in Zimbabwe, I've done interviews here in the UK as well, and there's quite a big difference. I remember when I did my interview at BDO and at EY back home, it was purely technical. I was being asked about standards. I mean, the good thing is I was good in my technical stuff, and it made me manage to get the contracts and get to the door, but it was purely technical. But those people who have got soft skills, they don't get through to get those position to train a started accountant. So I think this element of personal development, it needs all of us. It needs everyone. It also needs employers. It needs partners to start at the interview stage and say, some of the questions they need to ask people who are coming in is around those, soft skills. what have you been doing, even with uni? What other things have you been doing, that helps you on the people side? Because that has been lacking. If you talk to people within the firm who are frustrated, they will tell you that it's all about either the person they are working with, they're not able to handle them, they don't understand their emotion. Someone else might be going through mental challenges, but because CA are focusing on the technical element, and it's a bit of a challenge. And in Zimbabwe, I think one of the key things there is if someone is measuring you as intelligent, they are referring you as someone who's able to know defer text or being too technical. But when you cross over the bridges or the seas, it becomes a different story altogether. It's about bringing people together. It's about solving a problem, but not necessarily you having the solution, but knowing who have got the solution, right? So I think what I've seen, I've been following through CAA and TARS in other organizations in Zimbabwe. I'm seeing quite a lot of good work going there around that element. And I think, Innocent, as you were demonstrating some of these, the EdgeOnline and talking about, adding more skills to EdgeOnline, like Excel and other things, those are also things that firms can also encourage their trainees to say, go and do these interpersonal skills and add them to your training records to see what else you are doing on the other side, because it is very, very important. If there's anyone who's planning to move away from Zimbabwe and to come to overseas, please, technical skills are good, but you must make sure that you have got your personal skills.
Right. Thank you so much, Will Masendia. This is encouraging people to leave Zimbabwe. And this is talking about social citizenship. I think you two need to have a talk after this meeting. But thank you so much. I think it's quite important that we see that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this leaves me to say thank you so very much for joining us on this particular session. I think we'll be able to do other presentations. So Ropa will be sending through more calendar invites for specifically trainees, specifically reviewers, administrators, evaluators, and so forth, so that you understand your individual role and how EdgeOnline will help you to make your life much easier. So please do check that and check our change log and what's happening there. If you have any questions, our email addresses and our work phone number has actually been put on the chat function, so you can come through with those particular questions. If there are no more questions, I think, Anesu, is there anything else from you, or we can then call it a day? I think Anesu will just close us off and then we'll finish this up.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think the biggest issue for me is to say, coming together to solve our own problems in the way that we think is good says we will progress. And thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for contributing and having confidence in a Zimbabwean solution. I'm out.
Right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.